All right, today we are going to continue the Tampa Explained series talking about the central Pinellas County area where Clearwater Beach, Dunedin, some of these towns are. Here we go. I'm Sam, and thanks for coming by the Living in Tampa channel, where every single week we make videos about what it's like to live and move to the Tampa, Florida area. If that's something you want to follow along with, don't forget to subscribe down below. I'm also a licensed realtor in the state of Florida, so if you have any real estate specific questions, don't hesitate to reach out. My phone number and email are right there on the screen and in the description down below. All right, today we are talking about central Pinellas County. So as you go west from downtown Tampa, you take that Highway 60 all the way to the Gulf and you end at Clearwater Beach. That is right in the middle of the area we're going to talk about today. This area is known for beautiful beaches and kind of interesting, quirky towns, and we're going to get into all of those details. And just a reminder, the criteria for the Tampa Explained series is proximity, style, size, and cost. So we're going to go through those four things and talk about each of these towns that make up this area. So when I'm talking about the central Pinellas area, let's go to the map. Starting up here in the north is Dunedin. As you go a little bit south, Clearwater, and Clearwater goes kind of on the east side of Dunedin as well. A little further south, you go into Largo. Over on the east side of that area is Safety Harbor. And then from Largo, when you go to the water, the Gulf, you go to Bel Air Bluffs, Harbor Bluffs. Then you've got this little string of beach towns out here, with Clearwater Beach kind of being the furthest north one that's actually a town. And you go down into Bel Air Beach, Bel Air Shore, down into Indian Shores and Indian Rocks Beach, and that kind of makes up this area. There are other beaches up further north of there, the Dunedin Causeway and Honeymoon Island, which we'll talk about, but there's not housing out there, so we're not going to spend as much time talking about them. Okay, we are going to jump right into the criteria, and at the end, I want to hit on some of the main questions that I get asked about this area. So starting off is proximity. When I say proximity, I really just mean what is around here, how difficult is it to get to certain things that you would often get to, like beaches or airport or downtown or shopping and groceries and all of those kind of things. In general, these areas are kind of like small cities. They're not small towns because they all kind of run together and there is pretty high population density. They're not cities. They don't have like a downtown city feel. They're kind of like small cities. And what I mean by that is that everything is accessible if you have a car. Mass transportation isn't really a deal. And if you want to just walk or bike everywhere, it's a little too spread out for that. One thing that is extremely accessible in this area compared to other areas is beaches. And these beaches are very beautiful and very loved for reasons. They're beautiful white sand beaches. They're pretty calm. There's a lot of things to do around some of these beaches. Like in Clearwater Beach, there's a lot of shops and restaurants and things like that. When it comes to shopping in the area, there is all kinds of that. There's a few malls in the area and then all kinds of little boutique style shops in these downtowns. And then the normal kind of strip malls in between. Publix being kind of your main grocery store in the area and one of the biggest employers in this county. There's also a lot of medical care in these areas. A lot of this county was developed with retirees in mind. So there are a lot of big and small medical facilities that treat all kinds of ailments. Getting to the airport from here is pretty simple. It's a pretty straight shot. Actually, a couple different ways you could go. If you want to get to downtown Tampa, downtown's really just on the other side of the airport. So not much further than just getting to the airport. One obstacle here, if you need to get to Orlando, which sometimes you do, not just for Disney, but for other things. We have family in Orlando, so we are sometimes driving over that way. But if you live in this area, you've got to get across Tampa before you can start making that drive up I-4, or you've got to get all the way up to Wesley Chapel before you can start going a normal speed on I-75. You have to kind of figure that into your travel. All right, the second criteria is style. Style in this area is very, very mixed. As I said, a lot of this area was developed with retirees in mind. So you do have a lot of smaller houses, and a lot of those are 2-3 bedroom houses, maybe villa style, maybe patio homes, maybe condos. There are a lot of condos, but condos actually don't stand out in the area as much as you would think. There are those beach condo buildings that are obviously there, and they are condo buildings, but that's really just in Clearwater Beach, that very specific area. There are a lot of other smaller condo buildings throughout, and they kind of look like just little local apartment buildings, even though they are individually owned condos. In this whole central Pinellas area, there are a few areas with really cool turn-of-the-century houses, like early 1900s. There are a couple areas in Clearwater like that, and downtown Dunedin is like that, and that's something that makes Dunedin actually really attractive to some people. In this area overall, there are a lot of 3-bedroom houses that were built in the 60s and 70s. Some of those have been added onto, or maybe the garage has been converted to add another bedroom. But you'll see entire neighborhoods of these smaller block homes that were built in the 60s and 70s. They're kind of low. They have low sloping roofs, not quite flat, but not very peaked. There are a few new or newer neighborhoods, but they come at a very slow pace and in very small batches. So there might be a new development in the area, but they may only build 20 houses because this area is just pretty densely populated already. They're having to tear stuff down to build houses, so they come in pretty small batches, only a few at a time, 20 to 30 houses. There are a few areas in the central Pinellas area specifically that are quite a bit more beachy. So downtown Dunedin gets really close to the water. There's a big marina there. Link above if you missed those Dunedin videos. And then once you go down into Clearwater and Bel Air, if you go across the causeway onto the intercoastal little strip of land out there, those towns are beach towns. They really feel like beach towns. That's their entire focus. There's houses on usually the intercoastal side, and then condos and other developments on the beach side. All right, our third criteria is size. This area added up together is about 270,000 people. So that is a little bit bigger than St. Petersburg. And these are actually some pretty big towns in here. If you look at the map here, here's the breakdown of the population starting up in Dunedin with 50,000 people, coming into Clearwater at 115,000 people, Largo 84,000, over here in Safety Harbor 18,000, in Bel Air Bluffs 2,000, Bel Air 4,000, Harbor Bluffs 3,000, and then these little beach areas have a couple thousand among them, with Indian Rocks Beach at 4,000 being the biggest one. Real quickly about Safety Harbor here, over on the east side, on the bay side of this area, not an often talked about area of only 18,000 people. This area is regularly sought out for the schools, and it's hard to find a house in this area. It's hard to buy something in this area. It's very difficult to rent in this area, but it is a very beloved area. So do some of your own research, look around on Google Maps. Safety Harbor is really amazing. And the way that it's situated with commute traffic, it kind of just gets passed over. And so people don't really drive through it, either going to or from Tampa, which is kind of nice. All right, our final criteria is cost. So for the Clearwater area, the central Pinellas area, cost is difficult because there are a lot of different size places. So let's talk about single family homes first. And I always kind of bring this back to like a 4-bedroom, 3-bath house for a family with a pool. That is going to run you really $400 on the really low end of that, up to $550, $600. Condos are a whole different thing out here, and a good entry point for a lot of people, not just retirees. Because condos are quite a bit cheaper. You can get those in the mid 100,000s for a 2-bedroom condo in some really nice areas. One downfall to condos, of course, is condo associations. Their fees can sometimes be pretty intense. Really, the lowest you'll see those is usually around $200 a month, going up to $400 or $500 a month, depending on what they provide. If you're looking to buy an investment property in these areas, also watch out for the condo associations. Very often they require ownership for 1 to 2 years before you can rent it out, even as a long-term rental. When it comes to short-term rentals like Airbnbs in this area, each city is allowed to make their own rules for those. So like in Clearwater Beach, I don't think they're allowed. It's complicated. So Clearwater, Largo, Clearwater Beach being a separate town, Dunedin, all these towns manage short-term rentals differently. In some of the areas, you just have to register as a hotel and then pay a hotel tax as an investor and owner of one of those. Some places don't allow it at all. But then condo associations and homeowners associations can have more stringent rules on top of the city's rules. So something to watch out for if that's something you want to do. Okay, right here at the end, I just want to hit on a few questions that are often asked. People often ask about Clearwater Beach. Why is Clearwater Beach so special? The reality is it's actually really nice, but it often gets really, really crowded and congested because if you take the road from downtown Tampa, Highway 60, and just go all the way to the Gulf, that road ends at Clearwater Beach. There's a lot of parking right there. You can park and just go to the beach. So if that's the main destination beach, of course, it's going to get the most people visiting. Clearwater Beach has all kinds of little shops that make it a fun area to go hang out, where some of the beaches are a little more remote, like Honeymoon Island, which is a beach I really like, but there's not stuff to do out there besides be at the beach and be in the water. Another question I'm often asked is what is so special about Dunedin? People often hear about Dunedin from other people. Dunedin is a really cute, charming town, has a really cool, eclectic downtown, and it's a very interesting town. It really is. And you've been to downtowns like this all over the US, I'm sure, where the downtown is really focused on local small businesses, and they do farmers markets and they do festivals and all kinds of things like that. And Dunedin has a special feel like that. And then the downtown is also very close to the water, so you can walk down to the marina pretty easily, walk down to Edgewater Park right there by the marina. And then there's all kinds of shopping and dining near the water as well. Going back to Safety Harbor also has a pretty cool downtown like that. So if you are visiting the area, don't forget to look around at these other little areas as well. Okay, another question I get asked all the time: is this area dangerous? If you look at the crime map, Clearwater and Clearwater Beach do have a little more crime than you would expect. I don't know why. Also, as realtors, it's really dicey to talk about whether or not areas are dangerous. In general, in this area, I don't feel like it's dangerous. There are certain parts of this area that you would not feel comfortable living. Let me just tell you that you will recognize those very easily. You're not going to just buy or rent a house in an area and then be surprised to find out that it's dangerous. You will know based on your experience in the area. I'm not saying you're going to get attacked. I'm saying just based on what it feels like in the area, you'll know whether or not you'll feel safe. Okay, and the final question I get asked all the time is, are there a ton of old people in this county, and specifically in Clearwater area? The economy in the area is supported by a lot of retirees through real estate and through medical facilities. But it's not like the area feels like a retirement town. There aren't golf carts everywhere. Sure, there's some slow Cadillacs occasionally, but in general, the area does not feel specifically older in that way. A lot of retirees out here live in these condo associations and these retirement communities, 55 and over communities. And these communities have a lot of stuff going on within the community to where a lot of these residents don't need to travel outside of their neighborhood a lot. If you're retiring here, there's a lot of places for you. Also, if you're moving your young family here, your kids are going to find friends. It's not like you're moving to a retirement community. I hope you found this information useful. If you have any questions about these areas, please comment down below. And if you are wanting to move, you're wanting to talk about moving, please don't hesitate to reach out. My phone number and email are right there on the screen and in the description down below. Thanks for coming by.